But let's dive into the exact facts here, Katie. In particular, what happened between the Royal Ravens and the Atlanta FaZe, where Skrapz was AFK. The match began. Multiple people said, let's restart the game. This is unfair. But the match was not only forced to continue, but count. So when you assess this entire situation with the referee saying, no, this game has to continue, the team saying, Skrapz is AFK, we will happily restart, and even Atlanta Crowder publicly saying, no, this shouldn't count. Like, we want to restart this. This is the right thing to do. What went wrong here?
Well, it seems to be a emerging trend of referees not being in their chairs when they need to be. So yes, as you just explained with Skrapz, granted, I do want to make it very clear that I haven't seen anything from the league explaining something from their point or the ref or anything in that context. So we only really have what Skrapz said to go off of. But if what he said is true, then you have a situation where there was a player who the team said that they were not ready to go, and they were told that they had 5 to 10 minutes before things went live. So Skrapz has a certain branding on that game fuel bottle that can be the only thing shown. So he went to swap out his water and put it into that. And then the map starts while he's gone, while his team is trying to notify the ref, who's apparently not there, that he's gone. So then they get into the map. They make it very clear in map by team killing and not moving that something's wrong, and still the game isn't paused, and still the game isn't paused. And then at that point you start to see some movement, and then Atlanta kind of starts to do something too, because it's clear they can tell that something's wrong. And then finally it seems like London gets notified once Atlanta already has 100-point lead on them. Big props, by the way, to London for ending that with like 150 to 250 or whatever it was. Yeah. But the fact that they were then notified mid-map, do you guys think that this is being stopped? Like, that we're not restarting this? That there was even no discussion? I think is a huge, phenomenally glaring fault. And it's not the second time we've seen an issue where a referee has not been at his chair when something's happened. I'd like to reference back to Los Angeles Guerrillas and the Dallas Empire when Aqua lost his connection to the server, immediately notified a ref repeatedly, and they didn't hear back for 4 to 5 minutes while the game was ongoing. And it was very clear he wasn't there because he wasn't even in the game. And then Decimate ends up leaving, and then they force them to forfeit the map because Decimate did break a rule, a CDA rule, to leave a map while it was live. But it totally negates the fact that Aqua's being disconnected was completely ignored. There was not a ref there. And then in the score lines on the website after the fact, they do not acknowledge when forfeits happen. There's no indication there on that scoreboard in any way that there was a problem like that. So I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if they're not following up with their refs, if their refs aren't taking this seriously, if maybe I'm missing information about what has been going on, obviously, because we only have one side of the story with Skrapz. But at the end of the day, it's an unacceptable outcome, and it absolutely should have been a restarted map.
It makes me so mad, like, not gonna lie. It makes it's really frustrating just because I think if you're going to do an online league, one of the things that if we've I know people may not have watched this league because I'm pretty sure it's like you have to be a masochist to do it. But like over in the LPL, I know they actually sent referees to team homes. If you don't want to do that because maybe you're in a slightly worse situation than China is right now regarding the coronavirus, what you absolutely have to do is make sure that whoever is refereeing online is absolutely there at every single game. And you heard the LCS broadcast talk about this, so North American League of Legends. You heard the European League of Legends broadcast talk about this as well, where they're like, that was one of the things we really need to reassure teams is that for competitive integrity, we need to make sure that the refs are there, they're on time, in case someone can't load in, to make sure that everything is above board for whatever reason. It's just something that seems to me like so simple to do. Like, just have a ref there on time that's monitoring the game. Like that is a minimum requirement, in my opinion. Not to like, I don't know, come out full like scorched earth, but yeah, like this is really frustrating. And then to on top of that have like little to no communication from the league about these things, and to have it not reflected in the score line is just like doubling down on your own mistakes, which should not be the case. Like it's okay to make this mistake. I mean, it's not really okay, but like let's just say you make the mistake, right? The mistake's already made. The very least you can do is apologize and move forward and make sure that that doesn't happen again, right? And come out with a statement that reflects that. And that also has not happened. So that in and of itself is also really frustrating, because if you think about a lot of other things that have happened around the league, like for example, the servers, the league has been really communicative about that, right? Like where the first weekend was terrible, and then we're like, okay, we're adding servers. Okay, now we're adding more servers. And they've been really up to date on their communication for something like that. Why can you not do it with this referee issue? Like, what is going on that this has happened now not once but twice, and it's actively affected the competitive integrity of a match? That's like unacceptable to me. Oh, sorry. Like, I know that's mean.
No, don't apologize. It is
no, that's your opinion, and we want to hear it. That's why we're here on the show. Easy Mac, we're going to get your thoughts in a second. The first thing I want to throw to, however, is Emily had a chance to speak with Simp and Abizi about this very topic, and we're going to show you that clip right now.
So I have to ask about the map one against London. When something like that happens, like what is going on with it, like internally with your team? Were you surprised that they didn't just restart the map?
I don't know. It was kind of like a weird scenario because like the game started and they started team killing, and then we all kind of like stopped for a second. But like Maniac was like don't stop until the ref ends it, because that's how kind of like every sport is, esport, like whatever.
Mhm.
Like you wait until the official says something. So I think we kind of just kept on playing, and the ref at some point during the first like hill, he was like, yeah, this is a live game, like we're not ending it. And from there, like we just took it super serious. I mean, we were down to replay it, but the officials, like, it was kind of like up to them. So nothing we could really do about it.
I mean, we just did what the ref said, because the ref said that we have to keep playing it out. But it was really unfortunate on their end. I'm sure we felt really bad about it, because no one wants to like go through that where they have to like win a map like that, especially since like we literally went up like 100 points before they even started playing. So it was just super unfortunate. It felt really bad for them, but they were a great team. So it was a good. The other maps it was good maps after that.
So those are the comments from Simp and Abizi. Easy Mac, you were there, you were listening in. What can you tell us about exactly what happened there, and also address some of the criticism that your team maybe unrightfully faced as a result?
So it was kind of like a really weird situation. So when the game first started, the guys obviously got in the hill on P1, and then you start seeing the kill feed go like with the suicides from London, and then I think one of the players actually got out of the hill, but then a ref actually came into the team speak and was like, "Guys, this is a live game. Like, keep playing." So what you're supposed to do is keep playing until they stop it. When
did that happen? At what point did the referee?
I think that was in like the second hill. So
into the game.
Yeah, so that's why Stellium like stayed in the hill at P2, and that's why we got the 100-point lead before London started playing. Because I think Wuskins was like saying how he kept telling the ref like stop the game, and then he was like, this is a live game, like play the game through, and that's when they started coming. And so it was like a really tough spot, and everyone was saying like, why didn't we just put down our controllers? But like the protocol is to keep playing until the game stopped, and then if it's going to be restarted, it will be restarted. But if we just didn't play, let's say like we stop playing, and then London all of a sudden plays, and like they get that P2, and now they're up by 60 because we were trying to be nice. And then if it's not restarted, then it's like us shooting ourselves in the foot. So that's why like we just kept playing like until the whistle, I guess. And then yeah, that's when that whole situation went to. It was really tough.
I mean, no one should expect you to martyr yourself because of someone else's mistake.
I feel like anyone yelling at you is that's a bit unfair.
This is like it reminds me of a mixed martial arts contest where, let's say somebody knocks somebody down. The onus is on the referee to stop the fight, right? Like the competitor that is in the lead will continue to attack until the referee stops the fight. And it's the referee's job to protect the fighter. If he or she deems that fighter cannot continue intelligently, then the fight stops. But until that point, the fight continues, right? So I don't see any fault for Atlanta in this particular situation at all.
And, like, we wanted the
there's
restart,
none to
too.
give,
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah.
So-
Like,
I don't.
yeah. Yeah,
So-
that's not how we wanted to play that first map. Like, because it was the first game of the day too. Like, you want to get that first respawn in, play well. We were on good side on Hackney. We just wanted to, like, if we were gonna play London, which a lot of us are friends with that team too. Like, we want to play them fair and have a good match, and that's not really what that turned out to be.
Let's have a conversation about what happens here then. Is this as simple as we need to find new refs, or we need to find them, or we just need more communication from the league, as we mentioned previously? Like, what are the steps to improve this situation? Because clearly this is not an isolated incident. Emily, why don't we start with you? What do you think?
I mean, I think there has to be a lot clearer communication. I think there, like, I don't see, again, like, I don't see why it's so hard to have a ref, like, there for the game.
Have an ass in a
Start.
seat at a time of day. And
Like it is, like, I know this probably isn't your full-time job, which, like, also understandable, but if you signed up to do this, then you should be there and you should be refereeing the game because it actively affects the competitive integrity of this league. And I hate when people throw out, like, the money behind these franchises, but yeah, sure, let's do it here because it's pretty applicable. That this should not happen. It shouldn't happen in a regular, like, non-franchise league, never mind a fully franchise league with, like, millions of dollars of investment. So, you know, like, I think it's really inexcusable. What I would like from the league at this point is for them to actually come out and say, hey, we were wrong. We're taking steps forward to make sure that a ref is present at every single game, like, before the start, talking to the teams, making sure everything's okay. You know, like, everyone has to change the way things work in self-isolation, but I don't think this is that difficult of a change, since I have not seen other franchise leagues struggle with this as much as the Call of Duty League has.
I would like to note on that, by the way, Arda, a good indicator of this being a wider spread problem than we may have simply seen with Gorillas in Dallas or London and Atlanta is how many players and coaches vocally criticized the league on Twitter after this occurred.
Yep.
I'm sure plenty of folks got some nice fines from doing that. Skrapz absolutely did. I can guarantee you that. But you need to understand that this many people would not be this vocal about something and risk getting fined if it wasn't clearly a wider spread issue than these two isolated incidents. And so, yeah, I guess I'm asking for people to do their jobs, but all I'm asking for from the league is please talk to us, communicate with us, be open with us exactly the way you've been doing with the server improvements to let us know what's going on here so we can at least have faith that you're not just trying to sweep things under the rug, that you're acknowledging them and fixing them. Like, acknowledging bad things isn't a bad thing if you're saying, hey, we're working on them.
So, Easy Mac, the public hasn't been communicated with regarding this issue. What about the players and teams?
So it's actually, like, they have a lot of rules on before the match. Like, you have to check in 90 minutes before your match, which is actually kind of a pain because, like, on a Saturday when your match is at 1, we were checking in at 11:30. So that pretty much means, like, if we don't get a practice in at like 10:30, 11, we're going in dry. And then you have to check in, server vetoes. You have to go through all the protocols to make sure, like, your water bottle's checked. Everything's supposed to be perfect. You have to have the right jerseys on. So it's actually pretty, like, there's a lot of protocols in place. But then I guess this situation, it's just a lot different because they just didn't say anything about it. There was no statement. They didn't even say anything on broadcast. They kind of just skipped right by it, which made it even worse. So I don't know. It's kind of like, from my experience, it's kind of weird that they're just so, like, not open about it, and it's kind of, like, sloppy on that end. So I don't really know.
Well, we're gonna.
To that note, I would like to say, Arda, we did see criticism toward the casters as well, and it's not Miles and Momo's fault. They literally can't talk about things like
exactly,
that.
that's the point.
And they
it's not
also
their fault
might not know
Don't
what's
give
going
them
on.
any hate.
Yeah.
See, the thing is that in that situation, it's very difficult because the casters are often seen as the liaison to the league because they work for the league. They're employed by the league. But in that situation, their job is to call the games. And oftentimes they are incapable of or do not have the facts to speak on that situation. They should not be criticized. You're absolutely right, but they will be because they are seen, even if erroneously, as a representative of the league in that situation. So it's unfortunate, and they sort of take the shrapnel there in a way, but they shouldn't, but they do.